Welcome to the Celebration Church Orlando podcast. Thank you for joining us. To learn more about Celebration Orlando, a church devoted to reaching the lost, equipping the found, and helping the hurting, follow us on social media using the handle @CelebrationORL or visit our website, celebrationorl.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of After the Message, a segment on the Celebration Church Orlando podcast, whether you're watching or listening. This is typically a segment on our podcast where we discuss the previous Sunday's sermon. However, special season happening where we're talking about all of our financial issues, woes, highs and lows. But we're talking about stewardship and generosity, and we get to hear from some incredible people in our congregation here at Celebration Church Orlando. So if you don't have a local church, come and you get to meet incredible people. So, and speaking of incredible people, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys introduce yourself. Who do we have here today?
So my name is Ilya.
Denisa.
And married how long, guys?
So we've been married for 7 years, together for 10.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Same as me and my wife,
Yeah.
actually. What month you guys are married in?
August.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
October for us. So
Alright.
yeah, we're tracking along the same lines.
October.
Yeah,
Coming up.
yeah, coming up,
Oh,
man.
it is October.
It is October,
Yeah.
but 21st is my anniversary. So yeah,
Oh,
7
nice.
years. That'll be good. Tell us a little bit about Celebration. We were talking, I guess, off air about how I learned new information today that Orlando is actually home for you guys. But when did you start coming to Celebration?
Yeah, so we had just moved back to Orlando took Kissimmee back from Miami. We're from here originally.
Okay.
We got married, and she was going to school at the time that we met
Mm-hmm.
in FIU. And, we started dating, got married, moved down there. Well, I moved back down there, had more opportunity. And we just kind of started our life there. And then we came back last year in August. And, of course, one of the big things to find a church where we can serve, be a part of community. And we visited a few places. The first place we visited was Celebration.
Yeah, Celebration.
Really?
Yeah. I told her, hey, this is the one. And
Yeah.
then, what did you say?
I was like, it's a little far. Let's try other things out first
Sure.
and see.
I was like, we can try, but this is the one. Okay. So, yeah, and we just kind of came and stayed, and it's great. I mean, we love being a part of it, love being here, and it's been a real blessing to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was kind of well, I guess you were convinced more so, but maybe for both of you guys, what made it feel like, well, this is going to be home for us? You know what I mean?
You want to go? Or?
We went during those, what's
The
it
first
called?
was Family Talk.
Family Talk.
That was
Okay.
the first.
So
Nice.
we
Yeah.
really enjoyed the transparency,
Nice.
and we really liked how it just felt very comfy.
Hmm.
It felt very chill, very warm
Yeah.
for us. And I liked the transparency, and I also liked just the diversity. I liked the different ages. I liked the different cultures in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I was like, I really enjoy this now.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I mean, it's so cliche to say, but it felt authentic and real. It really did.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the other churches were not. It just I call it Holy Spirit or whatever. I felt it. I was like, this is it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking from firsthand experience, you guys have definitely been a blessing to our congregation. We're thankful that you did decide to call this place home. And we'll get in a little bit more as to why, outside of just the kind human beings that you are, but the role that you do play in our church. But we are talking about finances and after the message, and whenever the staff was just tossing up names and ideas of who would be the guest, you guys were definitely on that short list. So we know why, but why do you guys think that you guys are sitting in this seat right
Because
now?
we're great. I don't know.
Oh, humble. Well, we lead the Financial Peace University course here, and we have in other churches, and we started in 2017, right when we got married. We really didn't know much about finances. I certainly didn't really grow up much. Like, nothing was really taught besides the common thing like, oh, get a credit card, gonna build your credit, this and that. And you're like, why? You know, you don't even know. And Denise has a good story how she found the book and how we kind of started from there. You wanna?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to pay off my student loans.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got my first job, I got married. I was like, okay, I got to pay my bills, you know. So for me, it was like I needed to find a way to pay off my student loans. I didn't want to bring that into our marriage. I kind of felt like guilty about that. So I looked up a couple things and I happened to land to that. You know, I went to like how to hack, you know, paying off student loans quickly. And it all just landed to Total Money Makeover, which is a book from Dave Ramsey. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll buy it. I bought it. And I started reading it and it just made sense. You know, it's kind of like when you go to church and you hear about different sermons and you're like, that makes so much sense. It's so simple.
Right.
So I told him about it and he listened to it as an audiobook one weekend and he came back home. He's like, all right, we're going to sell the couch.
She ruined her life.
Sell everything.
Ruined her life.
And we were all in.
Yeah, it's just like when anybody that has read the book or like knows what I'm going to say, like as you're reading or listening to it, you're like, wow. Either, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or like, man, I'm really screwing this up. Like, let's fix it, you know? And I was like, yeah, let's fix it. Because we had things we had to take care of. You just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. But I think once you do have information, if you want to be responsible about it, you got to put into action.
Sure.
And we kind of started from there, started budgeting. Going back, before the book or anything, we honestly, it's scary to think about. If either one of us was like nuts or crazy, like we didn't talk about finances at all.
You didn't talk about it, you're saying?
At all, like zero. I didn't know what.
Like when you're dating, you're saying?
No,
yeah.
We just never talked about it.
Yeah.
It's just something. Not that we were like against talking about it.
Sure.
We just didn't.
Yeah.
And looking back, you're like, yo, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But yeah, so started the class on our own. I got into the coaching program through their thing there, got the coaching stuff, and then started leading in churches to kind of like build a awareness of this, so others can have the opportunity to do the same, or at least have the choice to say, you know what, I'm gonna still do it my way, which to that I would say, try it this way.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's the goal of Financial Peace University then?
It's
like why does somebody need to be a part of it? Why would they want to join it, I guess?
Yeah, it's just a special, it's just a really, I guess the intro to it is kind of like, there's not a lot of conversation about money. We always have that conversation in our classes where like, if they only taught this in school, you know?
Sure.
You know,
you're saying people bring that up to you guys?
Yes,
All the
they
time.
bring it up.
All the
Like,
time.
this should have been taught in grade school and, you know, whatever. It should have just been taught somewhere. So it's just, when it is taught, it's taught one way. You know, it's just taught, this is the way you're supposed to do it, and that's it. And for me, I was like, there is another way to be able to be financially free. But on top of it, it just has these principles that are, they kind of, you know, they are leaning towards the biblical principles. And there's this like, you begin to hear about mission statements and being able to, you know, be generous and just see the world in a different way. And really having that intro to being like, we're managers of, you know, God's money, and and we're just managing it.
I'm sure if some of you already know about Ramsey or not, or whatever you heard, I would say find out for yourself, right? And but the big thing is to live a debt-free lifestyle. What does that mean? You know, well, the culture would tell you to, you know, just have good debt, not bad debt, which is still debt. It's the same thing. But, you know, build your credit score so you can borrow more to have a better credit score. Why? And it's what happens is we don't realize it. We become in chains and enslaved.
Hmm.
Those chains can look pretty. Those chains can look, you can paint them all you want,
You can have a Mercedes chain.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're still owe somebody something. And us as being the believers, right? And if you're not, that's, you have your own journey with that. I don't know where everybody's at.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, we have one master, right? And I even speak to many Christ followers, right? They're Christian, follow God and all that, but something about the finances part doesn't always connect. That it's like, oh no, but I can't do this whole, like, my money is like somehow different apart from my faith journey.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we compartmentalize, something like finances as a non-spiritual issue?
There's a couple, but two that maybe like kind of stand out to me the most. I would say one, obviously, I think the upbringing.
Okay.
It's a big part.
Okay.
I think how you were raised and what you saw from your parents. And two, I heard this from a pastor. I don't know if he said it or he made it up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, we always talk about...
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah. But it was great how he phrased it.
Yeah.
Always in church talk about the 10%,
Mm-hmm.
this and that. But how can we talk about that and not teach people about the other 90?
Right.
So I think too is not just having the info out there,
Right.
like really pushing this and seeing that this is a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's bringing it to the people and letting them make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I've been to church plenty of times and I never really heard before.
Yeah.
I never really heard about this stuff. Not like, again, in specifics as far as, the credit cards, all that stuff, but just in general, like, okay, what does it mean to steward your money well?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. You mentioned, the family dynamic of it and how you were raised and stuff. What about you guys? How was it modeled for you growing up? And maybe you don't have to give specific examples, but
I don't mind.
But how was it modeled for you?
I'll start.
Yeah.
I learned great work ethic from my parents.
Yeah.
My mom mostly, but really it wasn't much talked about. I'd saw maybe like fights about it, arguments, right? I did get a secure credit card to build your first credit, and then you get it back. But it's like, honestly, it just wasn't really taught. It was taught number one thing was to get your credit score going.
Okay.
That's like, you gotta have it.
Yeah.
And I never really knew why.
It wasn't talked about either.
Okay.
I did learn about work ethic as well. But it was kind of the opposite, where it was like, if you do get a credit card, just make sure you pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
There was no really reason behind it, but it's just like, whatever you get and you owe, you pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always kind of like just living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had that kind of worry where I was like, no, I had the excitement of like, I'm definitely going to make more money than what I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I ended up having this like worry inside of me where I was like, how do I manage the money that I do end up getting if I am going to have this life, you know? Or if I have a family, how am I going to teach them? I found the importance of understanding money because of my past life and how we had to live a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not living that way, how are they going to know about it? You know, a lot of times people say, oh, well, you kind of get educated through that struggle. But what if you have a family and they don't have that struggle?
Right.
Then what?
Yeah.
So that was always my like, ooh, I should know about money and how to like, manage it.
Yeah.
Were both of you raised in Christian homes at all, or what's your background as it comes to?
I'm more of so I'm Russian, so Christian Orthodox, I guess. Not really.
Okay.
More like religious, like kind of you go up there, you light a candle, you got all the saints and all that,
Yeah.
So not really for me, no.
I grew up in church. I'm
Church girl.
Colombian, so I grew up in a non-denominational
Okay, cool.
Hispanic church.
Yeah.
Uh, they asked for money,
Yeah.
so I kind of grew up with that kind of oh, they're gonna ask for money again, kind of thing.
This is the thing.
Yeah, where it was kind of it was just always pushed to ask for money, but
Okay.
it wasn't ever a response of okay, we need to build up this fund for something, but there was never hey, let's have resources for our congregation to be able to be generous,
Right.
So I kind of grew up with that when it came to my church.
Got it. So, the principles of tithing and just being good stewards overall, and then going above and beyond that to be even more generous. Those are relatively newer in your lives, right? Because you're saying that yours was a little bit more of a religious experience. You're saying that yours is a little bit more, here's the what, but there's really no why behind it. So when did that evolve for you? When did the light bulb, I guess, click, and how so?
So I would, not to sound braggy or
No, yeah.
I was always generous.
Okay.
Even before I came to Christ or anything like that. But
Okay.
I would say that generosity is maybe a little bit sloppy,
Okay.
right? Or maybe self-serving even.
Okay.
Then I don't think it's really generosity, right? It was more of I don't know the scripture, but I remember I don't know who said that. I think Jesus said it, but don't sound the horn or something, or that.
Yeah.
Kind of let you know what your right hand is doing.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I think after coming to Christ and being humbled, the generosity had more of, as going through the process also of financial peace, more of a purpose to it.
Okay.
I'm not talking about tithe, I'm talking about generosity, outside of that.
Yeah.
More purpose and more, I would say, discreet, and that it's not for nobody to see what's happening. It's for that specific person or that organization that we want to contribute to.
Right.
So I think it's the way it evolved is being more intentional with it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It sounds like that there are some principles from Financial Peace University, just perhaps Dave Ramsey's whole school of thought that have really shaped your lives. I mean, you bought in so much to it that you're like, I want to be a coach. I want to share this with other people. Would you mind kind of giving a rundown of what some of the milestones or the top tier things that are taught in this, as kind of a little bit of a teaser for people who are interested?
Absolutely. So, like I said, the whole point of this is to live a debt-free lifestyle, and on top of that too is for you to have a good relationship with money, and the end goal is to be just ridiculously generous, right? And that could take so many ways and shape. We all are pulled to something, towards animals, people, missions, whatever it may be. We have that thing that's our heart really bleeds for that. We want to go for that, right? So, but for that to get there, you got to kind of get your house in order first, right? So it's really getting on the budget, knocking out your consumer debt, building a good, solid savings foundation, right? And also we in the class talk about just good ways to invest for your future, how to buy a home the correct way, insurances, like life insurance. What? Never heard about it before, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the end goal. You can to be just super crazy generous. That there's nothing holding you back from what God really wants to do in your life. And God can do it either way, but there's something about you not having you're not being chained to anything that I think just really breaks free from your physical money and mental. You're not worried about next month.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit to maybe how being free has impacted your life in other ways maybe? I mean, think about yourself with the debt, the student debt that so many of us have gone through or are going through, and then maybe post debt realizing oh my gosh, the sky's blue. I don't know what that was for you, but can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, it's funny because initially I wanted to come into this wanting to pay off my student loan because it was my debt that I was bringing in. But as we went through our journey and we had to look at all of the debt, we had to start with the smallest debt first and work our way up. It turned out that my debt was the last one. But when I looked at it, I was like, wow, if I would have really thought about myself, I would have just paid off this one debt for myself, and that's it, because that was the goal. But, you know, God had other plans, and he's like, no, after you pay this debt off the way, you know, I want you to do it, you'll have no debt at all. Like, everything's paid off between both of us, and we're both free. So I was like, oh, I guess that was a good idea.
Yeah.
But it just, I think it takes off some of that guilt and shame you might have along the way, because it's, speaking of student loans, because that was my biggest debt, it kind of just doesn't tie you down to being like, oh, I have to go this path, or I made a mistake and I regret it and now I'm paying it back. It's what I studied for isn't my first choice. So, but looking back at it now, it's like I don't need to let this hold me down, because I don't have to pay off this debt. I'm done. Like, I'm free from it, and I can just move on and do something that I can be passionate about.
Yeah.
And for us, when we started our journey, we did change a lot, and now we prioritize our money on important things. Like, we don't really get muffled in being like, oh, this money's here, this money's tied to this. Like, every place that we are putting our money towards or we save up for, it's intentional. And I feel like, I don't know, we have like a direction in that sense when we're doing it, and it feels more clear. Like, it's not like, oh, I have all these 5 tabs open in my head and we have all these things we have to pay back, and like, I'm not thinking about the bed that I bought 2 months ago anymore. I'm thinking about like this thing we want to help someone else out for, like pay off for a missions trip or something. So we hope to get there, you know. But it just feels like every dollar we put in, there's intentionality to it, and it feels clear.
And one of the biggest things that we also talk about in the class is, like, you know, we're obviously going to talk about numbers, it's money, right? But what a lot of it comes down to is the person in the mirror.
Is the what?
The person in the mirror.
Got it.
You are going to have to deal with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you can choose to kind of put it away, but at some point it's going to come up. So it's like, there is personal things, you know, again, what you mentioned, shame, and this is not like a salvation issue with the dead stuff or anything like that. It's just more of like, why do I do that with money? It's because I don't know, or do I just following the trend, the culture, and you know, it's called to be set apart, right? So let's be apart from.
So you're saying
culture.
Going through this can actually reveal maybe some underlying issues of your heart.
Self-medicating with buying stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it to a degree, you know, and it's like, or there's the fear of, I'm lonely and alone, so I'm just gonna spend and travel to go because
you're looking for fulfillment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously there's some deeper things. There's some darker and deeper things you could do with money.
Sure.
So
yeah.
Or just like the savings. Like, I just want to save, and keep it in like this little
store up in my barns.
Yeah,
you know?
and just, but still get debt, and you know, but I'm saving because it's like a fear, you know.
Yeah. Do you think that's more of an impulsion of greed then? Like, that's because someone would look at saving and go, oh, well, saving's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It could be both. It could be if you're not putting, you know, generosity first, and you're just thinking about, I think, yourself. It could be. It's so multifaceted in that you know what you just said. I think the class, going through the steps and going through the specific lessons, deals with that, because you kind of have to say, okay, you know what? I think I haven't been doing this correctly. Let me give this a shot. You know, and I tell this to anybody, hey, give this 90 days. Just give it a try. The whole plan. If you don't like it, you can always go back to debt. It's out there. You can go back. But yeah, it does deal with greed because, and I think too, fear, and also it kind of reveals, hey, really honestly, who is my provider? Me or God, right?
Yeah. That was my next question, actually, in regard to the class. I'm sure you've heard it before, like, yeah, but you don't know my situation. You don't know how astronomical my obstacles are. Have you ever seen this not work for anybody who actually put the time and effort into it?
No.
So 100% success rate for somebody.
I would say it depends what you mean by success. Okay. Did they get out of debt quickly? Probably no. Yeah. But something changed in them that they have hope now. Because when you don't have hope, I don't think you're going to make it.
It's a spiral.
Yeah, if you don't have like a true why for this, if you don't put enough time, if like Ilya said, there's no heart change for it, you can be excited about it. You can be that person that probably got out of debt, like you probably had some money stored up and you paid everything off. But there's like or you're probably you're just excited about it. But if there's no real heart change in it, and you don't feel that like urge to be like, I don't want to be in chains anymore, then I don't think it really works out for that person.
Yeah, Dave calls it kind of like that I've had a moment, right? And two, we always say in the class, if you don't have a big enough why, you can do all the steps, you can get debt free, become a millionaire, have your house paid off, you're going to get bored at the end. It's going to be pointless. If there's no why for what you are working for and all this money, and it's just going to be pointless. It's going to be fun, but at some point, it's going to get boring.
Yeah, because you're saying the ultimate end goal is ridiculous generosity. What is it?
Outrageous
generosity. Yeah. And that's where the fulfillment comes from that you're talking about?
Yep.
So if could you give us a sneak peek of what a typical class looks like?
Yeah, so we follow the baby steps in the class, and the whole class is about 9 weeks long, give or take. And we follow the baby steps. The first 4 lessons are primarily focused on those baby steps. The baby steps are, first one is save $1,000. That's just a start emergency fund. It's not meant to be a lot. It's just it's meant to kind of get you through those moments in life, flat tire, things like that. Then baby step 2 is we focus everything on our consumer debt. Not if you have a home, a mortgage, that's going to be later. Everything on consumer debt, smallest to largest debt.
Okay.
Then maybe step 3 is we save a fully funded emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months of expenses, whatever that works for you. And those steps are all done individually. This is where baby steps 4, 5, and 6 are kind of done together depending on your life. Baby steps 4 is to save 15% towards your retirement. Then baby step 5 is save for the
15% of your gross income. You're saying?
Yeah, for your retirement, of your household income towards retirement, 401k, Roth, IRA, whatever that works.
Yeah.
Then baby step 5, it's save for your kids' college fund if you have kids, if that's something that's in the books, just start building towards that. Then whatever's left, you throw towards the house, right? If that's what you have. And then baby step 7, you're completely debt free.
Wow.
You max out any retirement stuff you have available to you, and you just become super crazy generous. You can do whatever you want. It's pretty wild, and we've seen it done with many different incomes. You don't have to make 150K to be successful in this.
Yeah, the good thing that I like about it is that it doesn't matter where you're at in life. You can start it. You can be a high school student and start your journey, or you can also just be a person that, like you said, I'm in this crazy amount of debt. I'm in a very bad situation. I don't know how to get out of it. It always meets where people are at. So that's what I like about it. There's no like, oh, you have to invest this much to get into here, or you need to know this thing or have this degree to know this thing. It's very simple steps. We're being transparent enough to like talk about the baby steps because there's just so much more in the class that you get. You're in community with people, you're having conversations.
Yeah.
We're sharing about how you can have that shame and guilt, and you're around people that may have that feeling. Somebody else is encouraging the other, someone's helping out this person. So there's things that happen in the class that really help
I would
people.
100% recommend get in a group, like, and do the class together. But if you cannot, if your schedule doesn't allow it, totally get it. Do it on your own, you know. But I would 100% say together with people open up, they begin to build this thing, and it will forever be etched in their memory. Like, hey, I did this with this person. And they're gonna see, remember that? Yeah, I'm debt free and this and that, and it's really cool to see people's life changing, like, kind of in front of your eyes. You know, we're there for 9 weeks or 2 months, barely, right? But you can see the moment, like, they get it.
That's awesome.
You know,
You mentioned earlier the importance of kind of that top line item being returning back to God. Is there ever a temptation to maybe when things get a little bit tight, or to kind of revert back on that?
Yeah. So this is, again, our thing. They didn't tell us to say this or anything, so this is 100% true. Yeah, there's been times like you look at it, you're like, and even when we step outside and, you know, we have committed to give more for the year, and it's like, we could do a lot with this, you know, but then it's like, man, what's more? What's more, much more better, this money going forward to something that will reap such a bigger yield and benefit to others, right? Caveat to that, you know, I think you should do your due diligence, obviously, on where you're putting this extra money at, right? And if the organization is transparent enough and everything checks out, go for it. I think, you know. Yeah, but to answer your question, yes, 100%.
That's awesome.
No, like, it's just true. But if you make it first, that's the thing we see when people's budgets. It's usually upside down. It's last. So, like, I don't have enough money. Well, that's because you put it last. Weirdly enough, you put it first, it'll work out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, you might have to cut something out. But it's at that point that you're like, you make this decision.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly, this might sound blunt. I'm so sorry. But, like, if you can't make it a 90, like, there's other problems that we got to address, you know? So.
You're saying if you can't live off 90%.
Yeah, if you can't make it not 90%, like, we got to look at something here. Something has to change.
Got it.
So.
And this is like a life journey, you know, we don't expect baby steps 1 to 7 to be like in 2 months completed. So people are going to go through lifestyle changes and go through different things in life where they're like, maybe I don't know what to do here, you know? So to that, like, yeah, there is going to be moments that you're going to think like, oh, maybe I should, you know, get into debt for this, or, you know, get into mix this with that. We chose to do it like this way. In our class, we invite anyone and everyone to come in to try it out. This is just another option, the same way that other times people will say, well, this is the only way you can get rich if you invest this way, or this is the only way you can get rich is, you know, getting owning a bunch of houses, or, you know, like having 10 Airbnbs. I'm just like, hey, this is just another way. Yeah. You know,
I say this is the best way.
He says the best way. I say it's another way. It's an invitation.
And just to be like super transparent again with the story, we had 33 or 34K in debt. I had like 7 credit cards, I had a car payment, phones. She had her loan. What else was there? That's about it. We paid it off in under a year.
Oh, wow.
We lived in Miami, so it was fairly expensive. We don't make crazy money. I'm a truck driver. You know, she's a nutrition educator, so we're not like here in tech rolling in money or anything. There was things that had to be sacrificed. There was a budget had to be made. We had to say no, but God saw us through all the way. And we, like, throughout this whole 7 years now doing this stuff, we never lacked. Never lacked. There's been moments that are like, dang, that kind of sucks, you know, but never lacked.
Yeah.
Honestly, never lacked. Never, not once.
I'll let both of you answer a final question here. And we'll go ladies first. If someone is on the fence about, I know this is a next step for me to actually go through this course, to go through it in community like you said, but they're just needing that extra nudge, what would you say?
I would just say come through.
Yeah.
We always do like a little welcoming class when we start our course. So you don't have to read anything. You don't have to watch anything. You don't even have to know what the book is about. We just have an open invitation. You come in, it's like an orientation. You ask us the questions. And like I said, it's just an open invitation to just try it out. And if you want to really dive deep in it, then come back next week.
I would say, what do you possibly have to lose, right? And I limit this to two people. If you show up to every class and you honestly follow the material, and if this doesn't change the way you see things and your finances in that way, I will give you the money back myself. Mm-hmm. I will put my own money up for this. But you have to do the work, and you have to honestly go for it. So I would just say, what do you have to lose?
Yeah. That's awesome. Man.
Yeah.
Well, as this recording stands right now, we're in our fall term of groups. And so in the spring of 25, we'll be running it back, hopefully, with you guys, for people to be able to come through and be a part of Financial Peace University. So hopefully those of you who are with our community can jump on that. But I want to thank both of you guys for being here today and for just sharing a little bit more about what Financial Peace is. Not only the course, but what it does to your life and how it impacts you. And so we're so grateful for that and the work that you're doing for the kingdom of God. So really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us. To learn more about Celebration Orlando, a church devoted to reaching the lost, equipping the found, and helping the hurting, follow us on social media using the handle @CelebrationORL or visit our website celebrationorl.org.